What is up, everybody? It is Thursday night. Grab something cold to drink. Get your favorite koozie. We are doing Jackson Kayak Dock Talk with these two guys. That's to wake Justin up.
Awesome.
That is an awesome button. You can find these on Amazon. They're great. They cost a lot. Welcome back to Doc Talk, everybody. Glad to have you here in our house tonight. Let's go around the room. Introduced our, I don't know if we call you contestants, guests, co-hosts. I don't know what they are. Start at the bottom with Mr. Justin. Introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what boat you're in.
What's up, guys? I'm Justin. I am from New York, Central New York. Hope you can hear me all right.
Okay.
I fish out of a Jackson Nar. Love it. I also have a Take Two for the family getaways and a U-pick. I love those boats. Central New York, fish Shenway KBF, and a bunch of other regional events, and hopefully gonna have some time to get into some national events this coming year too. So that's me.
Mike, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and all that fun stuff.
Sorry, we froze there.
You're up, man. Just tell us
I'm
about
up.
you. Tell us where you're from. And
I'm Mike Blatt. I call New Orleans, Louisiana home. I do not care about missing Thursday night football for this. I know I'm going to catch flack later for that. But yeah. I live in Hanover, New Hampshire now. Moved up here a few years ago. Lived in Park City, Utah for a while during my ski days. I'm one of those former whitewater boaters. You know, I was on the Ocoee, I was on the Nantahala. I ended up in the Green River Narrows. Spent a few years there, just back in mid 2000s. And then once I realized what creeking looked like, I traveled the world, went to Europe, went to Australia to go and some of the coolest water on the planet. And then I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I'm married 8 years. And during COVID, I got a whitewater kayak again after a 15-year hiatus. And my wife just said, you're not 25 anymore, so you can still do this kayaking thing, but you might want to try something else. So I took her sit on top one day, paddled across the river, and caught more fish than I did from shore. And then started drilling holes in her boat, and then realized there was this entire culture of kayak fishing. So I live right on the Connecticut River that divides Vermont and New Hampshire, right in the central part of the states. And I have 2 Jackson Nars. Long story short, my wife was concerned about how much money I was spending on kayak fishing. So I started a guide service, and it kind of took off. So I put my clients in the same boat that I'm paddling. And I also had 2 tunas. I had 2 big rigs, but I'm slowly going more into the pedal drive world. So next spring, I will have 4 pedal drive Jackson kayaks to take all my guests out in.
that is a really awesome story, man. First off, welcome to the team, man. For
Thank
those
you.
of you that don't know, Mike is he's a noob, still noob. Not really a noob, but a noob. But yeah, new to the program, and we're happy to have you on board, man. So that's really awesome coming from whitewater to into the fishing side. That's a that's a good way to lead into, kind of talk about paddling. I know, Justin, you still like to paddle a lot. You still paddle quite a bit, actually. And Mike, being a paddler, I mean, do you feel like that you're always going to yearn for just a good paddle boat?
Yeah, 100%. I think for tournament days, obviously it's good to have that NAR. It's good to have that, ability to kind of cruise and get to point A to point B, carry all your stuff, and and just be able to sit out there for 8-10 hours a day or whatever have you. But yeah, for me, I mean, I know I can go out and get one, but for me, my biggest regret in the paddling in my paddling career is getting rid of that Liska. I miss
Yeah.
that thing. I miss that thing so much. It was such a beautiful boat, and I know my local dealer. He tells me every day he's got a couple there in the showroom and he's like, whenever you want them, and I'm like, gosh, I know, but those boats, there's something so nice about just getting out on, just a quiet Jackson for your paddle and just cruising, and there's something special about that.
I tell you what, the Liska has made more Dock Talk appearances than any.
Has it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's been quoted on every episode along with the Bite FD. How about you, Mike? You still into the paddle, or?
Yeah, it's when my wife told me that she didn't want me drilling any more holes in her kayak, my first boat, I got on Facebook Marketplace, looked for a fishing kayak, and I just found one that was going to fit with trading in my whitewater boat real quick, and came with a basket with some rod holders, and I got one of those old like a Mirage, I guess it's a big kind of a beginner kayak, fishing kayak, and it was sat down in the water. I was convinced I needed to earn my fish. I'm my blog post right now, my first one for Jackson as a team member, so I'm trying not to give the whole thing away. But I felt like I needed to paddle for a workout, and that's what I told my wife. I'm like, I'm gonna go do a stretch on the river. I'm gonna burn some calories, and so I would paddle, and that's where I was convinced myself that I needed to get a workout in because fishing wasn't a workout. And then I got the big tuna because I needed a tandem boat. I felt like I could be more instructional with my clients, especially the younger kids, having them either face me or be in the same boat with me. And that being 35 inches wide, still easy enough to paddle. And I could use my Werner bent creaking paddle that I still have for my person up front, and I had the bigger paddle in the back. And then it came time to the big rig, which was 40 inches wide. And, that's propped up. I needed a 250 centimeter paddle, which was, brand new to me. And now with the NAR, as long as I don't have, my fish finder positioned here or the box positioned here, and I still have that paddle that's long enough, I forgot my pedal drive the other day. And Jim actually reached out to me on Facebook. I posted the photo of my missing pedal drive, but the day I still got to have, and got to pedal the NAR around. And my batteries were in the boat. My motor was not on the boat. And it was a solid 140 pounds that I was paddling around without me included. And the thing tracked, and that was one of the cool things when I first got into serious kayak fishing. Well, how do I bridge this? If I'm a whitewater paddler, if I've paddled long boats and I go to a kayak company that also makes whitewater boats, that's just really cool. That's how I picked the brand of the first kayaks I was going to get. But it's been a learning process, and it still is a workout. And man, when you earn those strokes, when you're going miles on end, those fish just seem to be better.
Yeah, and I think there's a time and a place, right? Too, because I mean, especially up here, there's months where you can't get a pedal drive through the water. I mean, it's more of a headache than it is, So planning accordingly and getting out on the water in a boat that you can just skim right on top of everything and just cruise is important. So I mean that's good to keep in mind too with the body of water of what you're going to be fishing. You know, but yeah.
I will say that one day, it was I think it was either the first day in the NAR. We had about 20 days in June of some brutal wind up here in Vermont. And I didn't strap the paddle down on the edge of the boat. And I didn't even notice it until the end of the day. The fishing was so great. And I was like, you know what? It was worth losing that brand new Werner Shook paddle. I mean, it was so worth it. But I went to the hotel on the lake and I said, hey guys, I know you have a power boat. Can we go cruise the lake real quick and help me look for my paddle? And after about a half hour, they were like, man, it's gone. I'm sorry. But it was worth it. It was so worth it.
That's pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. And you know, the NAR is a phenomenal paddle boat, which people may not realize about the NAR. They see the pedal drive and the new Flex Drive Mark IV, and they're like, oh, wow, check this thing out. I mean, the Instagram story that I used tonight is actually a photo of me paddling the NAR. And man, you can paddle it just as fast as you can pedal it a lot of times. I mean, it moves. And
it cruises.
When you've got to be in a stealthy situation and you don't really need the pedals and you're just kind of meandering through a grass flat like Cayuga. Or you know,
I did that many times this summer.
here at our wonderful lakes, we've got a lot of grass, and you know, I'll kick the pedal drive up, and I call it 4-wheel drive. You know, you grab the paddle and off you go.
There you go.
It's a really great feature to all of our pedal boats, and they all actually paddle pretty good. Even like the Coosa FD, Justin, I think we'd agree that boat it paddles pretty good.
Yeah, the Coosa FD was.
I mean, it's a good paddling boat. So I think that says a lot about the boats. So you guys have had big years, obviously. Mike, you're guiding. Justin has been running tournaments up in New York. How was summer for you guys? I mean, what'd you guys get into, and kind of elaborate on what you guys been doing?
Yeah, for me, summer's been good. We had a great year for the local trail and NYKBF here. Had 13 events that we hosted throughout the year and a couple charity events. And about a month ago already, had our championship 2-day event on Keuka Lake, which was just smally heaven. It was just really the bags coming up are just really nice. So I chalked that up as a big success. We had biggest turnouts we've ever had. Hopefully had a blast fishing up out in New York. Yeah, heck yeah, I had him. And then he moves down south, and then now he's like
he's 3 hours from me, but
oh yeah. And then so big things going. We're already in the planning for 2023. We're working with other trails in the state to bring like some big events to New York State and really change what kayak fishing's all about up here, which I'm pretty pumped about. Working with some national trails as well too. So some big things coming for 2023. So focusing on 2022, we had, it was a great year. I got to fish myself, which was really nice. Planning on going out on Sunday if we got one more really nice weekend weather-wise up here in New York. So gonna go hopefully get some nice smallies, and then just end the season on a high note. That's my game plan.
Oh man, and you work hard at it. For those of you who don't follow KBF New York or NYKBF, make sure you follow that on the Facebook and on the Instagram, because Justin puts in a lot of work, and they really put out a lot of good content, and it's a really well run trail. Lots of good sponsors and lots of people working with that trail that make it what it is. So definitely check them out. Even if you're not in the area, it's still worth a follow. Give those guys a little support up there in New York.
Thanks, Chad. That means a lot. Thank you.
And
I'm looking forward to getting over there next year, Justin. Chad, so when Justin first reached out to me, it was, I think I filled out my Jackson team application in March when I was picking up my brand new trailer in Asheboro, North Carolina, and picking up my first 2 big rigs. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna send these guys some photos. I'm gonna fill out this application. And when I first talked to Justin and everything, he said, I want to invite you to the team. I said, have you seen my application? You're asking a bunch of questions that I'd love for you to read my answers. That I don't want to give you the same thing. And he said, no, man, haven't seen your application. One of the things that I said to him is, I'm going to start having to do tournaments because I haven't done any.
Right.
Every tournament I almost entered, I got a last minute trip, and it's hard to turn down people who want to learn how to kayak fish. So my wife is a Army combat veteran. She served 7 tours in Afghanistan as awesome. Specialist in the 160th in helicopter aviation intelligence. So anything veteran driven, veteran built, anything we can do to support any military veteran venture. So Heroes on the Water popped up, and there was a tournament. It was a month long, and they had regions, and Northeast had a region. I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this finally. And I was in first place the first weekend, second weekend, third weekend. And then this 20-year-old kid from Pennsylvania pulls ahead with a couple 20-inch bass. And man, I've never been so disappointed in catching 17-inch smallmouth bass on the river. And
welcome to month-long tournaments, man.
Yep.
Welcome to month-long tournaments.
I'm catching 6 and 7 pound bass in the river, but they're this big around. They are this long. So but that was just the last month. This whole year has been great. I got to do my first 3-day overnight with 3 16-year-olds, all on Jackson boats. I got to do a couple lots of learning with some kids who one actually was last year, had one kid with a learning disability, couldn't really put pictures in order, in a normal school assignment, 9 years old. And the kid could operate a fishing rod and could paddle a kayak. And there's nothing more rewarding and instant gratification lined than fishing. And it was just so cool seeing, and I have a very instructional approach. I don't like giving them a little bit and then saying, well, let's book another trip, come back later. I know it's a bad business model, but I really like people leaving me knowing that they can do this on their own. And now that I've discovered Outdoor New England in Franklin, New Hampshire, through Justin, there's an easy way when people come fishing with me. They say, hey, where do we get these boats? Well, go talk to Marty at Outdoor New England, ONE. And, it's been a great start of a relationship. And it's been great meeting Justin, great meeting the other team guys. There's a team guy from New Orleans that lives on the coast of Monterey, where my brother lives. I'm going to go fishing with him. It's really cool. This whole network of people.
Quite a few.
Yes. Long answer to your short question, Chad. My summer's been great. Caught some amazing fish, but the past been 2 weeks, Justin? Just being on the team for 2 weeks has been great. Lots to think about and looking forward to a lot next year.
Well, we're happy to have you, man. You guys kind of both accidentally brought up a very interesting topic: month-long tournaments online. Is the obviously winning tournaments in person is always going to trump the month-long. Do you feel that at this point in the kayak game that month-longs are still like valid?
Yeah. I the way that I look at month-longs, not to jump in and anything, but as a director putting together the community that I want to put together, I want to make sure that people are comfortable and learning at their own pace. And let's face it, Mike, I think you brought up a good point too about, not doing live tournaments. And, you don't have to do live tournaments to be welcomed into a national, brand like Jackson Kayak. Like it's not I mean, sure, it's important. I mean, and it's cool, but it's not everything. It's that mindset of what you know that you're pushing out on social media and to the kayak community. I mean, that's what, you know, your comments and photos are what caught my eye first off and foremost. And I think that by only pushing live events and making the in-person tournaments like as important as they are, I think it's important, but it's pushing away people and it's scaring people away from like, you know, really getting involved. So I mean, NYKBF has a month-long tournament all month from April to October, and we encourage people, if they're on the fence about coming to a live event, jump in a month long, learn at your own learn at your own pace, you know, get on our message boards and in our Facebook chats and things like that, and meet people, and, you know, go out and fish, you know, a month long on a lake that you feel comfortable fishing, and, you know, and just, that's how people learn. That's how people go and enjoy it. You know, and I think
it's the banter back and forth. You know, a good friend of mine who is a very competitive sponsored fisherman, and he's done all these tournaments, and I've always fished with him, and he'll say, I'm going to go fish to, you know, get some fish to, you know, move me up. You should come with me. Where are you going? I'm not going to tell you. And you know, well, it's funny. He sent me a screenshot of the map with the, you know, everything blacked out. But if you know anything about lakes and ponds in this area, and also if you know the name of the road that he left marked on the top corner, it's like, okay, I know right where that is, man. But the banter back and forth, it was so much fun having friends in that tournament for that month. Like, hey, dude, I just went here. I used to think I was catching big smallmouth bass, but I can't unseat my 19-inch largemouth. I thought they were longer. You know, it was just so much fun. You know, and then realizing that Pennsylvania and Kentucky were in the same bracket in the tournament as Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine.
Wow.
You know, and so we don't grow them as big up here, but they don't get as fished up here. So it was really cool being able to compete with those other guys. I don't know about going national. You know, I'm scared of the Texas-sized bass, to be honest, in the tournaments. But you know, it's like you said, I mean, April to October, that would be so much fun. Yep. And charity event, it's amazing. So my rod showed up today. It was a no cash prize, but I've got $500 worth of tackle, and it's amazing. And the backpacks and the boxes, and the only difference between first, second, and third place was an extra fishing rod here, extra fishing rod there, and most of those prizes are donated. And we're talking about a $50 entry fee, and some people entered and they had 0 points for fish. You know, they were there to support the event, and those are going to keep going, and those I will always compete in. And I'm looking forward to getting over to New York. You know, the guide license that I'm currently almost at, one more exam in New Hampshire. I'm going to go for the New York guide license next. That's a whole new level. And those guys are
very cool,
are amazing people. There's a group up in the Adirondacks, Battlefish Charters. Can't wait to meet them during ice fishing season, which we'll talk about Orion. He's actually Orion Coolers later for ice fishing season.
Yeah, AJ is actually a member of the Jackson kayak fishing team.
Yep.
So
yeah,
good dude.
He's a veteran as well, I believe.
Veteran,
you know, what we do, talking about the month longs and the different things, what we do with measuring the fish on the boards and getting comfortable with that does take some time. I mean, I can remember, and Justin, you can speak to this too, when everything first really got going. I mean, you would see the death grip on a fish where like the eyes were bulging out, and like it was like had a 5-pound body in its head, where everybody just, I mean, bear clawed them. So I think, you know, that's where stuff like the onlines and stuff are very helpful. You get to really process and go through that routine, and it goes such a long way.
Yeah, you're right. Everything adapts, and I think that you know, I saw somebody talking about the lead loading and stuff, but you know, it's hard. it's hard to get away with the apps and everything that we have, and we only do catch boards now, and I know a lot of people have just gone to catch boards, and I think that's done a lot for the sport, just for that everybody's running on the same board, and it's just there's no flimsy kind of you don't have to worry about it. So I think that's really nice. But again, yeah, I think there's something that has to be said about somebody that's weary about joining a group, joining a community, and a live online or a live like in-person event. It scare people away, and being able to say, all right, well, join this, fish on your own time. Who said it over there? The 9 to 5. Yeah. I work all day long. I can't go fishing with people in the middle of the day, but I could sure jump out for a few hours, after work someday, and go to my favorite spot and just learn. But yeah.
And that's, I think, the definite benefit to online tournaments is there's just so much time to learn, and it really is a great introductory way into our sport. Like you said, Justin, I mean, some of the live events can be intimidating if you think that you're not on the same level as Jimmy over there with his NAR FD and 2 fish finders and power poles and torpedoes, and there's a lot of guys out there that can still go out there and paddle a boat, like we was talking, and catch fish and hold their own in these tournaments. I mean, the skill levels are all over the place. I think one of the Dock Talks, Matt Ball, was talking, there's a lot of guys at the local level that are not fishing the big events or traveling to the big events that are real hammers. And, they fish the local event because they are that 9 to 5 guy, and they can get out there and crush them just the same as, the guys fishing the national stuff. Definitely. And, those are people that when you go to these local events that you can learn a lot from, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's also a lot of guys that you'll meet. I saw a guy fishing the same lake that I do a lot of my tours on. Mm-hmm. And he actually loved my trailer so much that he took the contact info and he called the guys at On the Water Innovations like the next day. And they texted me. They're like, "Hey, we just got a deposit for a trailer. This guy met you at the lake, but he won't fish with me." The guy's I think he's retired Special Forces Army. And, we talked a bit. We talked at the beginning of the day when we put in, and he'll go the opposite direction on the lake. It's a 740-acre lake. And I won't see him till the end of the day. He doesn't want to fish with anybody. Mm-hmm. And so some of these online tournaments are allowing people to go to these small ponds and small lakes, and they don't have to go with a crowd of people. They don't have to turn up. I was stressed and I was feeling really good on this lake. There was a huge bass tournament going on, and I convinced them I could keep up the guys in the power boats. And they said, if you show up with a live well, you're welcome to join. And I almost did it. I was this close. And, I was like, you know what? It's so crowded. I'm going to be the guy taking an extra 5 minutes to unload his boats at the ramp, and it's going to cause this issue. Right. But you have people who do this sport to go by themselves. They didn't get a bass boat because their friends, they didn't have to take their friends with them. It's like, how do I get away from these people during the week? I got to do something more solo. And that's the crazy thing about when I hear about the Jackson kayak fishing team, even the whitewater team. We do have individual events, but there's a camaraderie around the people, the goal, the aim that we're all looking for is to give that one person that experience that if they want it on their own, fine. But if they want it with a group of people, they can have it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Now, talking about trailers, you must be an on the water. You're obviously an on the water innovations guy. I got to check out Jameson's trailer again up close. I was there when he got it. I was there, when he first brought it into the factory for the first time, and then I got to see it again last weekend. Those are some sweet trailers. They really are. For you guys that don't know On the Water Innovations, you should really check them out. I yearn for one
Yeah.
deeply.
I don't have one either. They are definitely nice.
I'm not here to plug it, but I am selling mine. Not because I don't like it, but I realized I need a bigger one.
You want to upgrade it though.
I need to. This summer.
Not like you're selling it not to get another one.
Yeah. Denny and Mike posted. So Denny and Mike post video or photos of all their trailers that go out, and there was one that had a built-in Weber grill.
I've seen that.
I was like, okay, how do you outdo that? And so I said, you know what? Can we put a Traeger on it? Can we put a green egg on it? I mean, if there's anything you can do is slow cook something while you're fishing for 8 hours and come back to your trailer and it's ready. I mean,
you must not be fishing with the same people I do, because there wouldn't be nothing left to eat when I got back.
Right.
That's funny.
But
funny.
I got one of those bed extenders. I had 2 big tunas. I could take 3 people fishing, and with all the batteries and everything, you have some very nice people up here who want to help you load kayaks. Mm-hmm. And this one guy just was not taking no for an answer. Mike, let me help you load this. I feel bad just leaving you. The sun's going down. And I said, okay, we're going to pick this up. We're going to go left. I don't think he knew his right from his left, but he went right. I went left, and my back, I was 2 days into my 40s. Okay. This is 2 days after my birthday, and I heard it before I felt it. And then I was bedridden for 5 days. I have some of my neighbors who are on the chat right now. They're watching this right now. They can attest to this. They were at my birthday party, and then a week later, they're like, "What happened to you, man?"
Man.
I went to my wife and I said, "Listen, I'm getting one of these trailers, and it has been worth every penny. I drove all the way down there, went red fishing on the coast of North Carolina." Went to a backwoods pond, caught an 8-pound bass while I was there. Nice. made a trip out of it. Drove it all the way back up here with 2 big rigs on it, and then have loaded it up since. It's really amazing what those guys do and how well they service their customers, like Jackson does. If there's an issue, I think I had an issue with a spring on the rod tube, and I texted Denny and about it. He knew everything, and days later it shows up. And that's one of the things I love about them, and I love about Jackson's. The customer service experience is as good as the product.
Shout out to Matt and Charlie.
No doubt. Mike, you're from Louisiana, right? So you fish for redfish a lot?
So I moved out of New Orleans when I was 14. I think every time my dad and I were going to go red fishing, it was on one of his friends' boats. We never owned a boat. And we always, for some reason, the tide was too low, and they said, we're going to the oil rigs. We're going for blackfin tuna. And we just trolled for tuna. Okay. Honestly, didn't start red fishing until, let's say, Charleston, South Carolina. My daughter's 6, so 5 years ago. I had my first good red fishing trip. And we couldn't keep any of the fish because they were that big. It was amazing, the hit that those red drum or red fish have. And then on the coast of North Carolina inshore, it's incredible. And just these winnings from this tournament, I got one of those inshore boxes, and right on there, it's a snook and it's a redfish. And these redfish tournaments, I have not put these boats in saltwater yet, and I am this close to just saying, I'm going on a southern tour next year. I'm going to find a month-long redfish tournament and go crash at somebody's house in North Carolina.
Nice. I do. My family does an Outer Banks trip every summer, and one of my like musts is I have a buddy that's on another team with me that has a guide service down there that he takes me out one morning, and we usually go for trout and different things, flounder, which was fun. But this year, this past June, I got my first redfish ever, and on light tackle and everything. So it was like, I think I fought it for a good half an hour or whatever on the kayak, and it was just so much fun. It was such a fun fish. But yeah, and I ate it because I got to keep it. So I ate it. So
They say once red
that was
fishing
even
gets
better.
you, it's got you. You know, I mean, red fishing is. They say it's better.
You know,
Bass fishing, I'm scared to try it because I love greenfish too.
no, you can't. For me, you can't beat bass fishing. But that's the nice thing about up here, and you guys probably have the same. But every lake is different for me. So it's like if I want to hunt tiger muskie, I got a lake a half an hour away. If I want northern pike, I got a lake a half an hour away. If I want smallie, it's I think up here is pretty cool to live in. It's just
You got some
so diverse.
very diverse fishing in the New
Yeah,
York
and
area.
I think the national trails and the majors, bass boating leagues and things are starting to catch on that. I mean, I know they always knew, but some of these bags that they're pulling out and next year's schedules that are releasing as every other week's up here in New York. So I mean, people are
100 pounds of smallmouth on the St. Lawrence River this past year by
Yeah.
multiple individuals, which was phenomenal.
I was watching MLF on Cuga, a couple months ago or whenever they were here, and that's a lake I've fished my whole life, and the fish that they were pulling out of that lake, I was like, I felt like I didn't know the lake at all, and I knew exactly where everybody was fishing. I knew every spot, but they're just different breed, man. It's just a different breed of anglers there, which is pretty cool. But it's nice to see that the lakes up here are getting healthy again. The fish are getting stronger. They're getting bigger. It's a cool time.
There's nothing like going for a ride when you hook one of those fish. It's when the boat turns because of what you're reeling in. And I mean, and let alone when you're standing. The whole reason I went bow mounted trolling motor is I really wanted to get more into, I wanted to replace my spinning rod collection with bait casters. And I just needed that extra little, height because I'm 5'7" and a half. But
I resemble that statement.
It's crazy when you hook those fish and the boat starts tracking toward the fish. Now the Nar, not so much. The Nar holds its track, but some of those more flat bottom kayaks, I mean, and it's so much fun. And you're to get the medium heavy rods so that you can stay on the fish. And it really is cool feeling that extra oomph in that fight of that fish. And I can't wait to catch a redfish or something. I was watching the episode 8 last week, and I can imagine pulling a marlin on a kayak. 2 hours fighting fish. No, sir.
That was an incredible story. It really was. Wow. Jim has seen a lot. Jameson's seen a lot more than he lets on too. Jameson's seen a lot of good fishing.
Those guys have seen a lot. You're right.
But talking about the big tuna, have you had a chance to try the Take 2 yet, Mike?
I have not. So Outdoor New England has a brand new truck of boats that are coming with one of my new boats next week. Hopefully the weather's going to get back up to the 60s, 70s, which I'm very excited about. But Marty at Outdoor New England said, if you love the tuna, you got to try the Take 2. And I think I'm going to pick one up next year, just because it's so simple to get a smaller child between the age of 6 and 12 sitting facing at you, because they're very visual learners. My daughter especially loved having the trolling motor on the front of my big tuna, and then putting her there on, some of those random off school days that they don't tell you about till like the day before. And I can't stand it. Fishing with her is, by the time you get a line in the water, she's like, I got another one. And those 2-pound smallies at 25 feet in July and August, awesome. They take up most of her time. But I'm looking forward to it. I think I want to say it was Gene. Gene called the color of the Take 2 unicorn fart, maybe.
Yep.
And
prism. Yeah.
Whatever it is. But I really want one in that color because I think it it's really cool looking, and I think kids would love it. And so I just need to have one of those. But how wide is that? Is that the same 35 inches wide?
It's wide boat.
Okay.
I should know that off the top of my head, and Justin should too, but we
And
don't.
that
Look
goes
at
solo
it's
configuration.
No,
big.
I think it's 35.
Yeah, it's 35 or bigger. Yeah, so I just actually picked up my first Take Two last weekend and last Friday, and got it out on the water for the first time Saturday. Holy cow, that boat paddles well.
Yeah,
It
it's beautiful
drifts
boat.
well, and my gosh, does it carry a load? I mean, you can put whatever you want on that. I know, Justin, you've had yours out a lot more here than I have, but maybe you can talk about that just a little.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great boat. It's very versatile. I know when I first got it, I was planning on rigging it as my tournament kayak because at the time I didn't know when I would get my NAR. So
Right.
I was planning on rigging it like well, I think it was Chris Funk that put the Torpedo on it at the time. I'm sure other people have, since then, but I had that all rigged out, ready to go, and kind of decided to take a pivot and make the U-pick that boat with the Torpedo, and keep the Take Two as a traditional paddle kayak for family outings and stuff. And yeah, to be able to get, I have a 2-year-old and my wife, and we put him right in the middle, and he can kind of walk around a little bit if he wanted to, like you said, well, you were talking a little older, but I mean, 2-year-old, his attention span is,
Oh, yeah.
so it's like
nanoseconds.
just making him have a good time is a chore. But man, that boat, and especially, I know everybody talks about them all the time, but those tri-tracks, man,
They are
those
awesome.
those are so much fun. And the amount of stuff that you could put on. I know that was kind of the one hard thing about boats in the past is you want everything in a certain location, and if you wanted, you could never do that unless you wanted to install other tracks. And now with those, you literally can do whatever the heck you want, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you can literally stack stuff on top of stuff, and it's just awesome. And for the record, we were all three wrong.
You don't need a trailer with that boat. It's so right. These other boats, I was fortunate enough to show up when the Jackson trailer got to ONE a couple weeks ago, and my boat, of course, you know how you stack a semi-trailer. If anybody knows how to stack a trailer, you put the heaviest stuff up front, right? Behind the other 100 boats. So my boat is at the very front, and Rob Yeager was there, and I was like, all right, I'll help unload the boats. And we're pulling out the U-pick, we're pulling out the Bite, we're pulling out, even with the Mark IV built in some of these boats, and one person could carry it. It's incredible. You can still have the roof racks. You can still have the whitewater boat stackers, and still pack some of those Jackson kayaks, the fishing kayaks, on top of your car. You do not need a truck. You can take it with a Honda Civic. I've seen them on test days. Yeah.
I always thought that way about Jackson, that they really have that kind of mindset of, every detail is really thought out. Even the Blue Sky. I remember getting my first Blue Sky, when they first came out, 5 years ago, maybe more than that.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought it was the coolest thing. This ginormous boat kayak. And they made it so effortless to maneuver and to move around, and you kind of just hunkered right in the middle there, and you had your two hands holding it. I mean, it was very well thought, and I've thought that way about every boat since then and beyond. Is that it's just been, kind of with every end goal in mind, which is pretty cool.
That's my next end goal, is the Blue Sky.
We were all three way off. 37 inches.
Well, you said or bigger. You said 35 or bigger.
Or bigger.
37. So I mean, you're
37. By 13.9 for the folks at home. So it is. She's a big boat, but she's a cool boat.
Yeah.
She is a very cool boat. So What do you guys got coming up for the end of the year here? Is finale? Are we wrapping up? I mean, what's on the docket for the rest of the year?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
Justin's like snow.
us northern boys, right? It's like football season and hibernation. Mike's got his wine that he's gonna be drinking all the time, but
I didn't interrupt the Bills game, did I?
No Bills
Okay.
game. You
Okay.
picked a bye week. You're good, man.
Okay.
I haven't been able to dive into ice fishing. I just can't get into it. I wish I could. I really do. A lot of people up here do it, obviously, but I just haven't had the opportunity to do that. So a lot of the next few months for me is planning and prepping for NYKBF's next season. April's here before we know it, and we do our biggest event of the year there. We do a charity event for suicide awareness and prevention.
Mm-hmm.
It's always our biggest event. We hit over 100 anglers a year at that one. So I really try to go all out and do that for our local charity. So I spend quite a bit of time planning, prepping that. So that's my winter pretty much. and work life, right? And real work.
You will see photos of Justin this winter with me on the ice. I've told him that's one of my missions. And
hey, I told you I would do it. I'll give it a try, but I'm gonna be very vocal if I don't enjoy it.
Yep.
So,
I could see that. I can see that.
That's all right.
I don't like being cold the older I get, I'm finding.
I don't. I am happy to tell everyone that I am a fair weather fisherman, and I am fine with that. I don't want to be wet. I want to be comfortable, and I want to have a full belly. So if I'm hungry, I am going to be going and getting food.
Justin, you can come fishing anytime.
Chad, I had a couple folks last year that called me the day before their trip, and they said, "Hey, we went skiing today, and we were thinking about ice fishing, and we didn't realize it would be so cold."
Right.
And I said, "What part of the title of the activity led you to believe that it was going to be warmer?" Now we have the ice huts. Don't get me wrong. We can set those up. Paddlefish charters.
I was going to say, have you seen some of these ice huts and
they have
blinds that are out there now?
In the Midwest, it's ridiculous.
TVs in there,
new
microwaves.
Like, what do you? My new trip is going to be. I'm from New Orleans. I take my food very seriously. You're gonna get a hot pot of something. You're gonna get a bottle of something amazing, and you're gonna sit in a tent. When the flag goes up outside the tent, I'm going to tell you to walk over here, not run on the ice. But from here, it's funny. The past 2 years up in the Upper Valley, Vermont, New Hampshire, December 1st, December 3rd, we've had a 70-degree day. The water is 42 degrees. And so as long as you have live bait, at that point, we've gone to some of the creeks. And there's a little breeding season or a migration that happens of some of the sucker fish up here. And if you set the traps right, you get these armies of sucker fish for pike. That's awesome for ice fishing. You just got to keep them alive until ice in.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you want to, you take some minnows, you take some night crawlers, and you go put on some, big old slip bobbers. And this is where the biggest pike of the year without ice will bite. And some of the biggest fish of the year. I mean, just yesterday I was on the water. I couldn't believe. I was like, all right, we'll get some 3-pound bass, no problem. And this lake, I would say I've been fishing for 2 years, never caught anything over 5.5 pounds. And yesterday he was 6.5. Sorry, she was 6.5 pounds. And some of the biggest fish right now, they are trying to make sure that they're stuffed for winter. And it's some of the coolest time to fish. And guess what? Nobody else is out there.
No, the lakes freeze after Labor Day.
Yeah. I tell you what. You mix in some good food and some good beverages. I'm there. I think it would be a blast. I'm all right with that. I think it should be a Jackson group event, a group bonding event. I think I would be all right with that. Done.
Now, Chad, I'm going to take one of those Orion coolers. My mission this year is to make a aerator that can hook on to those. I'm going to fabricate it somehow, but something that's sturdier than a 5-gallon bucket.
Right.
That's what I use now. And, on a cold day, those minnows, they don't last long, and the ice will actually freeze in the bucket. And I want to take one of those coolers and make it into my minnow bucket and put some tracks on it, make it its own sled, And
you just need the flip-flop cart, man.
Yep.
Just need a flip-flop cart. That's all you need, and then you can put like a luggage rack on top of it. I mean, that's what we need.
Or we take the On the Water Innovations trailer, we put some skis, lock the wheels. And I mean, people drive their trucks on the ice. We had one lake that had 24 inches of ice by February this year. It's a lot of ice. And I didn't believe it until I saw it. And somebody was driving their Cadillac Escalade on the ice. And that was just brave.
No, thank you.
No.
I don't care how thick that is.
I like my truck. I really do.
I do too. I don't think I could. I don't think I could do it.
Nope. It's just a lot of planning and my cozy slippers for me. Getting ready all winter long. I'm all right with that. Springtime, is first. I'll be the first one out there in March or early April. If it's, if it's obviously if we have open water, but I just can't get into it. I don't know. Maybe I'm fishing with the wrong people. But
well, you need to have some of those tournament eats at the ice fishing, and I think that could sway you. Good beverages go a long way. That's a good point.
Keep you warm.
Yeah,
they do keep you warm. What's everybody drinking tonight? What are you drinking tonight, Justin? Where you at?
I have a local brewery. I am drinking a pumpkin ale, so don't at me if you don't like pumpkin ale. But
we are not judging. It's local brew.
It's called Ardeas Brewery in Geneva. It's pretty cool. It's like an old mansion that they converted into a brewery right down the road from my house. It's pretty legit.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. We got a good. The Finger Lakes area is booming with breweries lately, so
adds to the destination.
Yeah, definitely.
But Mike, what you got going on?
Finger Lakes makes good wine too. They
do.
Great climate for certain grapes. They make some good white wines. So I am drinking. I did want a beer tonight, but with my former life, I really had to have a glass of wine. I was in the wine industry for 9 years. Again, my dad had a wine cellar down the hall from my room. And when we lived in New Orleans, it's kind of where I got it. It's literally in my blood. My wife and I met in the wine industry. We actually got married at a vineyard in Italy, just trying to escape the crowds. This was nothing fancy, except my mother texted me a week before the wedding, and she said, "Hey, guess who's getting married in Florence 2 days before you? Kim and Kanye." And so when they announced their divorce, my wife was like, "Hey, listen, we outlasted Kim." So one of the first bottles that we were at the hotel in Italy. We were tired from traveling, and this was on the menu. It's a simple little Chianti, and they sell it at the state liquor store in New Hampshire. And it's unfortunately called Monsanto, but it's not made by the same Monsanto you're thinking of. It's an actual vineyard in Italy. It's one of the oldest vineyards, and Chianti is underpriced for what it is. If you're trying to get into wine and you want something that's good, spend $20 on a Chianti. Hell, spend $10.99 on a Chianti, and it'll outdrink anything from California at that price, as long as you like highly acidic wines. And if you like pizza, save the money on the pizza, spend the money on the wine. And I'm telling you, you bring some of this stuff out on the ice with you during the winter, and you're gonna have a good day. While fishing, I've seen people that are curious about the taste that's in the bottom of their beer can while fishing and not realize what fell into that beer can. This is a wide glass. I wouldn't want to fish, let alone with glass, or
Right.
drinking wine. Camelbacks go a long way. They make these
out of the
bags
bottle.
You could do it.
What do you got, Chad?
So I've got some Black Dog Brewing, Graffiti Road, a New England IPA, because I'm talking to boys in the Northeast tonight. Special brew out of Mooresville, Indiana. So yeah, local brewery up there. New upstart, started open their doors around COVID, and yeah,
nice.
Cool people. Jason Cassidy, one of our listeners, actually does a little part-time work there when he is not on the road bassing.
Wow,
so
okay.
Yeah, kudos to Jason and the quality brew. This is my last one, Jason. Just saying. I spaced them out the best I could.
It's always good to have your good local breweries in shouting distance, isn't it?
Oh man, and they do so much for the different kayak events and stuff that goes on for kayak fishing. Yeah. It's always cool to see the local brews, and people really appreciate that when they come to the different events. I know, Justin, you work with a lot of them for your events, and it's been good for you.
We have a really great partner in our events called Three Brothers Brewery, which is actually Warhorse Brewery at Three Brothers Winery. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's a brewery, and they have 3 wineries in the same compound, ranging from dries to sweets. Place is I call it Disneyland for adults. It's just it's ridiculous how cool it is. I mean, you want to be careful because you're not driving home after that stop. You gotta try everything. You got to try everything, right?
Absolutely. We found a place like that, Monkey Town Brewing down at Chickamauga, when we was down there fishing a tournament.
I love the name already.
Oh my gosh. It was their strawberry tasted like a strawberry milkshake. I mean, it was insane. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Justin, we get Equilibrium down here from New York. That's they did a project. I think they did a project with
Equilibrium
Brewing out of Burlington. And a local barbecue joint down in White River Junction, Vermont, called Big Fatties gets kegs, very small pony kegs from Equilibrium, and they last a week at that place. And it's that I really do want to go travel through New York, and the Vermont quality of water and New Hampshire quality of water mixed with some of these brewmasters. It was one of the things that got me out of the wine business, to be honest. I was so into wine until I got to see what they were doing in Champlain Valley with growing hops. As they were as grape growers grow grapes, they were growing hops, and you could taste these same hops made in different ways and different brews, different level of dry hops, and it was amazing. One of the things I love to do for my clients is when they book a trip, I'll say, pack some snacks, pack some water. Do you happen to drink beer? Yes, I do. Well, when you get a good fish, you can have a victory beer.
There you go.
Paddleback or at the truck while I'm loading. And, I kind of gauge what their taste is and kind of give them a little taste. I always go with, haven't been sponsored by them yet, but Frost Beer Works in Vermont.
If you're listening, Frost.
Yes, I hope Garen Frost is listening. He is from Orange County, California, so he has that New England style, but then takes the freshness of Vermont and just blends it in beautifully. But there's just nothing more satisfying after a day of fishing than just having a nice cold beer, even on a cold day, makes you feel good. And the double IPA is at 8% while you're kayak fishing. Not as much beer for the same effect. So you don't have
to stop. Talking about local brews and the different things helping out kayak trails. I mean, when we're traveling to places, Chickamauga, Del Hollow, all these places in the South, there is always such cool places to eat. What is one of your favorite? I mean, do you guys associate when you travel, like, okay, I'm going to Lake X, I'm going to restaurant X because I haven't had it since I was at the lake last? I mean, do you guys do that, or am I the only one?
No, you're not the only one. I think that's the biggest part of traveling for me is going back and getting that burger that you had that was the best that you ever had, or the chicken wings, or those local area kind of snacks. I mean, geez, that. I love fishing different lakes and everything like that, but it's all about the experience for me. It's all about the environment and the meeting up with friends and getting together with everybody. Like that's what kayak fishing is all about to me. But yeah, it's all around it's all around food, man. It's all around food.
I hear you. No, and it's fun.
Everything tastes really good when you're hungry, when you're right off the water. But
no doubt.
Absolutely.
a lot of my trips, I will go to Lake Maury in Vermont, and Fairleigh, Vermont, this little town just 20 minutes north. And they're getting a little bit bigger, and the restaurants they have this one place called Samurai Soul Food, and so it's kind of an Asian twist on some Southern cuisine. So they'll have, I think it was I moved here from San Diego, and I went there maybe a week after I moved here, and I said, "What should I have?" "You should have the fish tacos." I said, "I just moved here from San Diego. You want me to have your fish tacos? Just trust us. Have the fish tacos." And I was
that's when you know you got to have them.
It was like Southern fried fish on a taco, and now they do these like tuna poke bowls. They have all the local craft brews from Vermont, and any of my clients that say, "Well, where should we go eat after this?" And now there's this burger joint, which I can't even say because I don't want anybody else to go there because they sell out of food every day before you get. They're open to sell out. And it's incredible, but yeah, just these small town kind of up and coming restaurants, they are pushing to the wayside the big city style restaurants, but the food is right up there. And this is what New Orleans is all about. You take peasant cuisine like jambalaya and etouffee, and you make it this rock star cuisine. And it's all about the sauce. It's all from the start of the roux or the stock. And cool. It's always somebody does a great burger or a great pizza. And I'm always there when somebody says, "Where should we go after fishing?" I will have a restaurant recommendation if I didn't bring the food.
And that's how I always, every event that I always put on, whether it's NYKBF or anything, any live event will always end with the awards at a pub, restaurant, something on the lake, that we're fishing that I can, kind of bring it full circle. So my goal, I really don't care if people have a good day on the water. I want them to, of course. I want them to have fun at the events, but I want them there at the event after, at the weigh-in, talking to everybody, saying if they had a good day or not, communicating about what went wrong, what went right, and building those relationships and having a good meal, having a good experience afterwards, so that they associate the group, the activity of kayak fishing with a good mind memory. I think that's what it's all about. You just got to build that community and make people feel comfortable. And I mean,
and if you're not catching fish, there's one guy I fish with. Now he does fish out of a Hobie. We'll get him there. One of our guests tonight, by the way, she is a Hobie kayak fisher, but she and I met on Facebook because we're talking trailers, and she is here watching us tonight. So she is open to the world of Jackson. But this friend of mine lives in Florida half the year, lives up here half the year. And if we don't catch fish in the morning, I'll say, "Steve, eat lunch. You got to eat your lunch." As soon as he starts eating lunch, I start catching fish. And then when he's done, he starts catching fish. And it's this weird thing that we have. So, if you're out on the water and you haven't eaten in a few hours, you're getting testy. The fish can
Yeah,
feel
that's
it.
the truth.
Just like when
Get
you're
a
riding a
Snickers.
horse, the horse can feel
That's
when you're
true.
stressed. The fish can feel when you're stressed. Take a break. Eat something
Gotta
delicious.
bring those peanut butter crackers, man. Gotta
Yep.
bring those
Yep.
peanut butter crackers.
Now, talking about local, obviously for kayak fishing, local is huge, but there's one thing that's also huge for the sport of kayak fishing, and that is supporting your local dealer. I'll let you guys kind of talk about your local dealers and who you guys work with. Give your favorite shop, or not your favorite shop, Justin. Sorry, you team lead. You have lots of favorite shops. Give the shop that you guys work with the most a little shout out.
Go ahead, Mike.
Let's see. I'm gonna shout out for the whitewater community down in Chattanooga, because Rock Creek Outfitters, one of my first really good times in a playboat was back, 2005, 2006, just when they started coming out, and there was unbelievable service down there. But up here, Marty at Outdoor New England, the guy is a different level. We had the Jackson release party when they released those new whitewater boats, and
the Nirvana.
The Nirvana. It was really cool. I said, hey, I've got my daughter with me. Is it okay if I bring her by? And he said, well, I guess we'll have kids stuff. Yeah, sure, bring her. And he's got two great dogs. It was great. He let her unwrap the boats on live on the release for Jackson. She got to help unwrap those, and which she loved. And then when she saw it was a pink boat, she lost it. But Jackson is quickly becoming one of those kayak brands that New England really hasn't seen much of, and people are very surprised on the difference of the kayaks, not just their durability, but their ease of transportation, and then just the company itself and how widespread it is in the United States. But one of the things that stuck out, I didn't want to be rude and leave, and drink Marty's beer and just get out of here, but he was gone. And I looked at the other guys at the shop, Joe, and he said, yeah, he went off with the governor and the mayor. I said, who is this guy? He disappears from the shop with the governor and the mayor. I'm like, all right, I got to stay in touch with this guy. He's very ingrained in the community. When you drive into Franklin, New Hampshire, there are flower pots lining the streets of Franklin made out of decommissioned kayaks. And
cool.
Most of them, they came from Outdoor New England.
Right.
They have a playway right there. They have a park. They have kids programs. When the water's too low, they put the kids on boogie boards. But the shop itself, the way that they treat you as part of the community, not just a consumer, is really cool. And that's awesome. That's where kayaking comes from. That's where it will always stay. And guys, awesome. Yesterday, he stole my photo that I posted on Facebook on Jackson Kayak Owners page. I haven't even gotten to my page yet. And it's on his Instagram. And then sends a message. Hey, man, sorry. I didn't know if it's okay if I stole your photo. Like, hey, dude, you tagged me. I'm fine, whatever. We have a mutually beneficial relationship. I have no problem I look forward to sending any of my clients that say, where do I get a kayak? And I will send them there.
Very cool.
Yeah. I think that's what it's all about, man. I think that right there is, what makes a true pro staff individual is they're out in the community. They're helping, the people that are selling the boats. It's one thing to just, say you're a pro staffer and, kind of get the benefits of it, but to be out there and, showcasing your boat, to showcasing the beauty of what makes a local dealer special. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's not, it's just who you are. It's pretty cool. I mean, you said, Chad, I mean, tournament, team lead in the Northeast here. All of our dealers are special. I think everybody's got a lot of cool things going on in the Northeast, which is really, it's still an up and coming area for kayak fishing. And I'm okay with saying that. It's catching on, it's booming, it's growing fast. My local dealer, Morgan Marine, right down the road from me, brand new dealer this past year. jumped on with Jackson and took a whole array of rec and fishing kayaks and took what he could get in the beginning of the year because everything was really spoken for and they didn't know what they could get. And, just started, getting things over the year. And, I think they really showcase what Jackson Kayak is looking for in a dealer because they are family run. They're right on the lake. They're always willing to do stuff to help the community, to help the area and to help the sport of kayak fishing. I manage and, I oversee the owners groups on Facebook as well for Jackson. And I see it every day. I'll see, what Jackson is right for me, or what Jackson should I get? I'm this big and I fish this type of lake. And, part of that is just look at the dealer map,
Right.
go check out your dealer, say hello, touch the boats, feel, a lot of dealers have free demoing.
Yep.
Get on the water, try them. You can't, somebody from 2 states over, I mean, they might have experience. You can take their comments with a grain of salt, but they're not you.
Right.
You got to get on the boat, especially if you want to, drop this amount of investment, which I call Jackson Kayak your forever boat because you're never going to outgrow it. You're never going to, it's always going to be there. It's going to be there forever for you. So make that right investment and try the boat, get on the water and learn it. And you can't do that without these local dealers and they're pretty special people. So I think they make Jackson what it's all about. Yeah, preach. I know I'm preaching. It's true. And not for nothing, Mike, this Caitlin over here in the chat, I think you need to put her comment up here because she is not selling your ice fishing too well, that the beers are frozen.
Okay.
I've been looking at that comment for 20 minutes.
at night. Okay. We went fishing at night. And I warned him it was going to be cold.
I'm just kidding. But yeah.
Caitlin, don't tell him how cold this is. No, we need to have.
You guys are from the Northeast. It's cold.
Well, we'll put the jacket on you. We'll give you the costume from Fargo. That's what we'll give you.
Done. Ralphie from A Christmas Story. If I can put my hands down, I am not wearing enough.
All right, guys, as we wrap this up, we are going to be an hour and 15 minutes in. So with that being said, we're going to wrap this show up. I'm going to let you guys tell the people where to find you on socials. Thank any sponsorships that you guys need to thank, Jackson Kayak and beyond. And so whoever wants to go first, take your shot.
Go ahead. More sponsors than I do.
So you guys can find me American Kayaker on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube. Also check out nykbf.com and nykbf on all the socials as well. We do a lot of fun things. Some pretty cool things going on next year. We're actually partnering with all of the tournament series in New York State. There's 6 of them. And we are partnering with all 6 to bring a pretty epic event in October. So look into that. Check that out. That's going to be pretty fun. Thanks, Jackson Kayak, Bending Branches, Nokwa, Savior. You guys, my people, they me. They're awesome. And Orion Coolers, of course. Right, Chad?
Yeah, gotta have your Orion cooler.
Yeah, I know. It's got beer in it upstairs. I
do like your Jackson Kayak button there in the background, though. That's cool.
Like that?
I like that. That looks good.
You don't have one of those? Come on.
I don't have one of those.
I hung mine in the garage. Like Rob Yeager gave me one of those and this hat for helping him unload that semi truck. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I miss the buttons, but I know where there's a big neon sign sitting right now, and it's a race now between myself and Jameson Redding to get this neon sign.
I want that neon sign. I've seen those in some of our local dealers.
I know where there's one hidden.
Nice.
I know where there's one hidden. I know who's got the key.
Who's got the key? Then you should have it already. You were just there last week.
I was just there Friday. Jameson was supposed to actually take it. He's got seniority, so he got first dibs.
I
But
don't know.
he
I think
left
he's
it.
got enough Jackson
He-
stuff. I
He
think
left it.
you're the
So,
one that's on the podcasts all the time. I think that would look really nice in the
It
background.
would look so. I mean, just right there.
I mean,
Just
it's
right there.
marketing, man. You
It's-
gotta plan that.
Yeah, I mean, my Dell Hollow sign is
Jameson
pretty
doing for
cool,
marketing.
though.
He's not doing anything.
Yeah, Dell Hollow sign is cool. It needs to come
is-
lower though,
that
so
is
it's more
cool.
in the frame.
That's
I
cool.
did not steal that. I bought that fair and square. Go ahead, Mike. What do you got?
You can find me on Instagram at TBC Guides. My Facebook is also TBC Guide Services. So TBC, once I loaded the garage in our house with all of my gear, our family, we just started calling it the Blatt Cave. My name is Mike Blatt, Blatt. So we called it the Blatt Cave. So TBC was born. And I am I'm about a half mile down the road from Dartmouth. So if you guys down south or anywhere in the country, your kids are looking, Dartmouth is now giving out scholarships instead of trying to get you to borrow money. So your kids looking at colleges, come up to Dartmouth, come kayak fishing up here. When pre-spawn and spawn happen everywhere else in the US, up here, it's June. So come up here for your summer vacation. You are hitting pre-spawn and spawn bass, and it is absolutely amazing. And come ice fishing. You know, if you've never done it, you know, we're gonna get Justin out there. One of our viewers.
Every time you go ice
I know.
fishing, it's just like,
One of our viewers tonight. She moved from Texas to Virginia. She said that's as far north as she's ever going until she ice fishes. I mean, all you need is the right day. But
I told you I'll do it. You invite me out, and I will do it.
But
We'll do a whole YouTube thing about it.
It was
It'll be
30.
a whole
It was
thing.
30 degrees today, and I was ready to put on gloves.
Right?
Just saying.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm also going to thank On the Water Innovations just because these guys have been awesome. I refer people onto them and they refer people up here. And my biggest sponsor of all, my wife, she is the reason that we're here. She is a recent graduate. She just graduated from Dartmouth last year with her MBA, and we decided to stay here. And she is the reason that all of this has even happened. So yeah, she's my biggest sponsor, and she still hasn't been out kayak fishing with me. She only goes kayaking, but she did go ice fishing with me and saw the look on her mother's face when she pulled in the biggest bass I've ever seen out of the ice. So she was kind of hooked. But yeah, those are the people I'm going to thank. And again, being part of the Jackson kayak fishing team, I really can't wait to do more with the company and I don't know, maybe get back into whitewater. You know, it's never too late.
Oh, it's never too late.
But Mike, you cut me off earlier, and I was also gonna thank my wife.
I'm not thanking mine. She's not listening. That's it for tonight, kids. This is the worst outro music ever.
Is that my death? Is because I didn't thank Mary? Like,
I don't know what that is. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you all. We'll see you in 2 weeks. 11/3. Yeah, November. Coming at you
guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Who picks this music? StreamYard.